I think that the criminalisation of Assange is a very frightening example of how the powerful Conservative Party or the powerful government in position at the moment controls all media, and anybody who publishes something that they don't like is going to be in trouble. And really all mainstream media now just publishes and parrots the narrative of the government, so they don't report on the truth. They're not good investigative journalists. They don't talk about these illegal wars going on around the world, where America, aided by the UK, enter different countries and with coups and remove their democratically elected governments, such as Bolivia has just happened recently. Evo Morales was the most popular president of Bolivia, who improved the lives not only for the wealthy but also for the poor, the native people. So an improvement all round in education and hospitals, the most loved of all presidents. And he was re-elected. He served 14 years, and yet America went in and took him out and put in their own puppet. They're trying to do that with Venezuela. And it's a disgrace. We need to stay out of other people's countries. If they're rich in natural resources, we need to negotiate with them as anyone else negotiates when you buy and sell, not by going in and toppling their governments and leaving their country in poverty. It's a shameful, one of the shameful acts that has been going on for many years by the powerful US, aided, as I say, by the UK. And this silencing of Julian Assange is a national disgrace.
Bailey, but this is not about me. This is about Julian Assange and the great work that he's done over so many years to find out the truth about so many things and so many issues. And many of us are here today because of what he's done and what he said, and support what he said. This is about freedom. This is about freedom of speech, freedom of the press, which is going and is being lost in our country today, and has been going and it's being eroded over many, many years. And this is very, very worrying. And it's very, very worrying to me to see someone who just simply stands up for truth, like Julian Assange, being treated like a political prisoner and being put through what is being put through today in the Old Bailey and in Belmarsh prison, being held there for many, many years. I believe this is an injustice. I believe he needs, if he is going to be charged in this country, he should be charged for something in this country and given a free and fair trial, and not being treated like a political prisoner, like someone who is worse than a dog. And that's what's happened to him in this country by the powers that be. Now, I don't know the specific individuals who have let this happen and have pushed for this to happen and are given the order for this to happen. But those people are standing against freedom and liberty, and they're against the people. And we're the people, and we're here to say that we're going to stand up for freedom, we're going to stand up for liberty. And we will not stand by silently while someone who just speaks the truth is treated like a common criminal.
You not only stand up for Julian Assange as a human being, but you stand up for yourself, and you stand up for your right to know the truth. Any human being who values themselves and values their right to know the truth will stand up and support Julian Assange. Turn off your televisions, If you switch on the TV, you will likely not hear about the plight of Julian Assange. But rather you will likely hear all the crap that the psychopaths in charge want you to know because it benefits them. If you value your right to know the truth, stand up for Julian Assange. Because his freedom is your freedom. If he goes down, you go down. Turn off your television.
Well, I think that these are lies. They're flat out lies. I mean, this courthouse behind me is an imperialist institution. They're not interested in justice. They're not interested in freedom of speech or freedom of press. You know, they go around the planet bombing other countries in the name of democracy, in the name of freedom. They don't even have it right here in the heart of London. This is a joke. I mean, any judge within their right mind, or rather, any judge with a minimum, a shred of integrity, would have thrown this case out on day one, because Julian Assange has been denied the right to a fair trial. He was spied on. We know this for a fact, not just by the UK government allowing this embassy, the Ecuadorian embassy, to turn into a playground, but I mean, the United States has put enormous amounts of money and resources and time and energy to UC Global into collecting and gathering evidence that can be used against Assange, violating his right to a fair trial under the European Convention on Human Rights, under the Interpol Constitution. I mean, there's no way you can look at this and not find enormous legal holes.
Reporters Without Borders has attempted to carry out our job as professional NGO observers at these proceedings the past 4 weeks. We have been unable to do so because this judge has decided not to accept, not to accommodate the role of NGO observers as any different to the public. We have gained access to these proceedings only by fighting our way into court each day with the support of an entire network of activists. This is not how we are accustomed to doing our jobs in any country, and I personally have not experienced this in monitoring any case anywhere. What we have witnessed is concerning. We have documented concerns with regard to Mr. Assange's right to a fair trial. We have serious concerns about open justice, and we retain our concerns about the substance of the case, which we do believe to be politically motivated, as was evidenced quite aptly over the past 4 weeks. We maintain that Mr. Assange has been targeted for his contributions to public interest reporting, and that this case will have historical implications for journalism, for press freedom. That is what is at stake. So it's not just a violation of Mr. Assange's rights, although that is of utmost concern as well. It is a violation of the public's right to information. The public had a right to know what was happening in these proceedings, and very few have been able to gain access. The public also had a right to the information that was published as a result of the leaked information. So that is what I want to leave here to really hammer home for those who are still skeptical about aspects of this case, who may have decided that they believe one thing or the other about Mr. Assange, is that it is the implications for the public, to the public's right to information, for the future of public interest reporting in this country, in the United States, and internationally. So at Reporters Without Borders, we call again for the charges against Mr. Assange to be dropped, for him to be released, and certainly not extradited to the United States. We believe that he should be released unconditionally, but we have also heard ample evidence of humanitarian basis for his release as well. We have said that this could be a matter of life or death, and that cannot be overlooked either in these proceedings. So we will stick with it. We will continue to press the court to reconsider its policy for future hearings, because this is, quite frankly, unacceptable. And we will continue to do our job to the best of our ability.
approaching the 11th year of Julian's arbitrary detention. 1.5 years under house arrest. 7.5 years locked in a room in the Ecuadorian embassy. And moving to 1.5 years in the Belmarsh maximum security prison is a crime. But also I'd like you to consider what the result of leaks and the publication of war crimes. So in 2006, American soldiers in Iraq murdered an entire family. A mother, father, children, uncles, aunties, grandmother. Looking at their crime, they thought of a way out. So they called in an airstrike and destroyed what was left of the children and their mother and father and uncles, grandfathers, all of them obliterated. This was released in the cables. It gave enough insight and courage to the Iraqi government to refuse to renew the status of forces agreement. In other words, a publication of WikiLeaks and Julian stopped a war. So I'd like you to remember that. I'd also like you to keep forever in mind that these heinous deeds can be turned just as easily against us. So if we succeed in carrying upon our shoulders and using our strength to free Julian, it brings that freedom to us, and it prevents him, it gives us the status and strength to resist the murderous crimes of a rogue state and its vassals. And from Julian, when I speak to him on the phone, he asks me to give thanks to the journalists and the supporters. So, from the heart, thanks.
In following these days of trial, we've heard a huge amount of detail that has demolished the prosecution arguments day after day after day. But let's step back now at the end and take a view of the larger picture of what is happening here. Julian Assange has been suffering terrible deprivation of liberty. He's been suffering conditions amounting to torture. His ordeal goes on, and all because he published the truth. There is no allegation in that courtroom that anything he published was a lie. Everything he published was true, and much of that truth revealed terrible crimes, war crimes and crimes against humanity, and lies and corruption by government. And not one of the people who committed those war crimes is on trial anywhere. Instead, we have the man who had the courage to reveal those war crimes is the one whose liberty is at stake. And that is not right. And the world must say that is not right. We also have a situation where, at the time he did this publishing, Julian Assange was nowhere near the United States. The United States is claiming a universal jurisdiction to swoop down anywhere in the world and destroy the life of anybody who publishes things it does not want revealed. And this ridiculous claim of universal jurisdiction should not be accepted or tolerated for a moment in a British court, let alone granted all the panoply of justice, so-called, which is defending this indefensible situation. We've also seen the United States government in prosecuting, argue in terms, argue directly that the First Amendment does not protect journalists. They have argued in detail that the Pentagon Papers judgment would not say the New York Times could not have been prosecuted under the Espionage Act. They are claiming the right to prosecute for espionage any journalist anywhere in the world who reveals national security information. And national security information about a state which constantly invades other states is information which is necessary to the liberty of everyone. We have been here, we have seen the law fighting in the halls of justice, we have seen the activists fighting outside, and this campaign will go on, because the campaign for Julian's freedom is the campaign for the freedom of everyone. Thank you.
Wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and in Guantanamo. Those truths were exposed here. So I ask you, would you not agree that this is not a trial of Julian Assange? In essence, it was a trial of our time and our civilization, because we heard about all these horrible incidents that happened on our watch and in our name. In a democratic sense, we cannot change the past, but we need the truth about the past. But we can change the fate of Julian Assange. And after all these 4 weeks, we should be in no doubt that there's only one thing that has to happen as an outcome of these proceedings. If Julian Assange is extradited, it will mean darkness for us all. It cannot happen. We must take a stand. There can only be one outcome: no extradition.
The US administration's prosecution is trying to make normal journalistic activities, which are entirely legal in this jurisdiction, an extraditable offense. If he's sent to the United States, Julian will not be able to argue the public interest of his publications, because there is no public interest defense. And because he is not a US citizen, the US says that he does not have free speech protections. The US administration will not stop with him. The US says that it can put any journalists anywhere in the world on trial in the US if it doesn't like what they are publishing. The US administration is exploiting the lopsidedness of the US-UK extradition treaty to deny justice to the family of Harry Dunn and to force cruelty and injustice on ours. This case is already chilling press freedom. It is a frontal assault on journalism, on the public's right to know, and our ability to hold governments, domestic and foreign, to account. Terrible crimes were committed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and terrible crimes were committed at Guantanamo Bay. The perpetrators of those crimes, they're not in prison, but Julian is. Julian is a publisher. Julian is also a son. He's a friend. He's my fiancé and a father. Our children need their father. Julian needs his freedom. And our democracy needs a free press. Thank you.